against people who really need it.
Rent got too expensive, had to leave LA. So I got into my car and I went away to the big estate. Playing poker every day. Going all in with these fish like I'm at an all-you-can-eat buffet. The road trip lives on from Austin, Texas. Check out the Capitol building and downtown. We then head over to the lodge and end up losing 631 in 1-2, not before running into a fellow vlogger degenerate. We're here at the lodge, and there's this other vlogger here that I've never met before, but he wanted $1,000, so I said, heck yeah, dude, I'm gonna give it to you. Oh, it's Ryan to follow, dude. He's a degenerate. Even better.
I need to borrow money because I'm bad at life organ. I have money, but it's all in various human trafficking funds and things of this nature, and they don't clear on Columbus Day, so I have to pay it back tomorrow.
Oh, snap.
And even though I'm paid to be here, it's like...
I'll probably never see that money again, but good investment into the clickbait.
Yeah,
Ryan DePaulo scammed me out of $1,000 bucks.
Worst case, it's like, here, I'll give you the thumbnail just in case you need this for scamming me. It's like...
After loaning Ryan the money, we hop onto his live stream game for a little while with some other cool people. Here it is.
That's correct, right? That's 1K?
He has given me my money back. If he DMs any of you on Instagram and asks for money, just give it to him because he gives it right back. The next day, we meet up and hit Round Rock Donuts and do our best Dave Portnoy impression. I give this a 7.8 out of 10. Ryan, would you give it?
6.9. Because it's a funny number, but also it's accurate.
Yeah, you would give it a 6.
No, I mean it. It's good. It's not great. But most donuts are. That's like, donuts and cheeseburgers and like fried Oreos, like hard things to up.
Our date continues. Ryan takes me to a romantic spot to feed some turtles and then wines and dines me at Cooper's Barbecue. Enough shenanigans, we're back over to the lodge to play in their Tuesday free roll. Alright, we're on the first break, 146 entries. We're in for the $30 for the seat fee and all that, then rebought for 105, so we're in for 135 and we're around 140k, which has to be above average stack. We're gonna try to run it up here and see if we can't make a couple grand today. Let's go! We end up getting Ace King in good for a double, but not before doubling up another opponent with Ace King versus Aces. We're crippled in the tourney, but fear not, Ace Deuce holds versus King 9 for a double, and we're right back in it. Gonna need this next double though. We get Ace Queen in versus sixes. The flop is no help. The turn gives him an open ender, and the River King sends us heading to the rail. Yeah, look at Ryan here. We just busted, but Ryan is still in the tournament. Hopefully he's gonna take it down for the vlogger squad. There's 2 of us here. We'll see.
It's gonna be so unfair. I want to win against people who really need it and just suck out on rivers. Like, it's so evil.
Good luck, Ryan.
Yo, you'll be playing cash, right?
Yeah. And playing cash we did. We're into the 1-3 for $1,000. If you guys like seeing Ryan in the video, don't worry, there's more of him later. And spoiler alert, keep an eye out for an unexpected appearance from none other than Rampage Poker. First hand a note, we look down at Ace 4 of clubs from middle position. I raise it up to $20 and the player on my left and the cutoff both put in the call, so going 3 ways to the flop. Flop comes Jack 9-7 with 2 clubs. Obviously flopping the Ace High flush draw is a pretty great hand, so I decide to go for a c-bet of $25 into the 2 other opponents. Not scared to build a pot here. The player to my left puts in the call, and now the cutoff raises it up to $75. Like I said, we're not scared to get money in here with the Ace High flush draw. We would be drawing to the nuts. Not really too sure what he would be doing this with. Guess Queen 10, maybe some other clubs, or a set of 7s or 9s. Either way though, we stick in 1 black chip. That's a call, and the action's on the middle position player. He's getting a great price and he thinks so. He puts in the call as well, so we're still going 3 ways to the turn, which gives us the nuts. It comes at 3 of clubs. Bang! We turn the flush. Action's on me, and I don't see any reason in leading out here. The opponent in the cutoff went for a sizable raise on the flop. I think I'm just going to check it over to him and see what he does. He checks it over to the cutoff, and I'm hoping the cutoff is going to go for another bet here, considering he raised us on the flop. That's not what he does though. He takes the free card, so the pot size is staying the same. Still 3 ways to the river, which comes a 7 of hearts. I think now we could probably start going for a bet and leading into the opponent when he checks back on the turn. But if he had a hand like 2 pair or a straight, I think if we checked it over to him here for a second time, he'd probably go for a bet and we can go for the check raise. That's what I like to do in the moment. I check it over to middle position, checks it over to the cutoff for the second time. Lucky for us, he puts out a bet, so obviously not just going to be calling calling here. We're going to go for the check raise. I try to make it chunky, sizable bet here, just looking to get paid off and polarize my hand. I raise it up to $240, almost a 5x. The cutoff grabs some chips and thinks about it for a little while, not before saying, "I think you got the flush," and tossing his chips in the middle.
Yeah, you got the flush.
Sure enough, I show him the ace high flush, not the nuts by the river, but the opponent mucks his card, so we're going to take down that $769 pot right out of the gate. Feeling pretty great, up $430 in this 1-3 game. We then look down at queen 9 of spades from under the gun, and I raise it up to $15. Only the big blind calls, so we're going heads up to the flop, which comes 8-7-4 with 2 clubs. Big blind checks it over to me, and this is a board that's going to connect a lot better with his range than mine, so I decide to check behind and take the free card, which comes a 6 of spades, giving us the open-ended straight. The big blind now elects to go for a $25 bet into the $31 pot, and I think about my options. It's possible that he will have 2 pairs, some straights, some sets here, but I came to play some poker. I decided to raise him up to $85, just looking to put pressure on his 1-pair type holdings. If he calls here, he probably has a decently strong hand. That's what he does. He sticks in the call, so a little worrisome, off to the river in this $200 pot, which pairs the board. It comes a 6 of diamonds. The opponent checks it over to me, and if I had an overpair now, I beat all of his 2 pairs. If I had like jacks, we have jacks and 6s. If he had a hand like 8-7, we now crack that, so when he checks it over to me, and considering I just have queen high, I decided to go for a devious size bet here. I grabbed $65 in small chips before sticking a black chip underneath and putting it out into the middle. Bet is $165 to call. Sometimes in poker you have the best hand, and sometimes you're just playing the opponent with sheer aggression. That's the instance here. He folds his cards, and we're going to take down the $200 pot, up to $500 profit on the session. Next hand, pocket kings from middle position. This $10 straddles on, and I raise it up to $30. The big blind and the straddler both put in the calls, going 3 ways to the flop, which comes 6, jack, 7 with 2 spades. Obviously, an overpair on this board is pretty much the nuts. Don't really expect the opponents to have pocket jacks, considering they just called my $30 bet. So when the action checks over to me, I think we need to go for a C-bet. I fire out for $35. In hindsight, I think this is a little small. We could probably size up to $45 to $55. Either way, though, the big blind puts in the call, actions on the straddle, and he goes for the check raise to $110. Not really too sure what he's representing here. Like I said, pocket jacks would have raised us pre-flop. He's representing one of 2 things, pocket 6s, pocket 7s, or he could have a spade or a flush draw. Either way though, pocket kings on this board is not going to go anywhere. I toss in the $110 in the actions on the big blind. Big blind is a non-believer as well. He tosses in the additional chips, and we're off to the turn still 3 ways, which brings in one of the draws. It comes the deuce of spades. Additionally, we do not have the king of spades in our hand, which is not the best situation to be in. Big blind checks it over to the straddle, and now he ships it all in for $309. The action's obviously on me, and with pocket kings here and one of the draws getting there, at this point we're probably just bluff catching. Either he's going to have a set, a flush, or he's going to have an open-ended straight draw. I doubt he's just doing this with a pair of jacks. Either way though, in the moment, I couldn't get away from the hand. I stick in the call for $309. Big blind gets out of the way, and we're off to the river. River comes a 4 of diamonds, pretty much a brick. If he had us on the turn, he's going to be good on the river. The opponent turns over a hand that we think we beat initially, 8-5 offsuit, until we look at the river and realize he had an open-ended straight draw, and he just bricked it on the river. What is life? We're going to lose this $1,048 pot. Pocket kings get cracked. Surprisingly, we got it in on the turn, only for the dealer to give him the better card. 4 of diamonds from space. Where did that come from? Geez, I guess poker isn't dead though. Head out to Austin if you want some great action. We're down to just $50 in profit on the session.
Okay guys, so the game I'm in right now blows absolute. I'm gonna try to stick it out for you guys because I said to myself that I would play the biggest game possible here at the lodge every given night, but because it's just 5 other grinders, like actual pros, and then me, I don't think I'm a pro, I'm just gonna play a couple more orbits. If the game doesn't improve, people don't come in, I'm probably gonna pick a different table to go through. So if you see me at the 1-2 tables, it's because it's a juicy game and I'm trying to run it up. I'm not trying to lose my entire stack to some grinders here, but let's go, let's see what happens.
We're in the trenches. We came here to grind and run up a stack. We look down at pocket 8s and and I raise it up to $15 from the hijack. The big blind puts in the call, and we're going to go heads up to the flop here, which comes Jack, Deuce 3. Having second pair on this board, I think is a decent spot to be in. Can't just give him credit for having a Jack right away. I c-bet for $15, and he puts in the call. Off to the turn, which comes a 6 of diamonds. Opponent checks it to me for a second time, and this time I elect to check behind. Reason being, he could fire some bluffs on the river and we'll just pick them off. If I bet here for a second time and he doesn't have a jack, most likely just gonna fold. So when I check behind, the river peels off 4 of diamonds, puts a 4-liner to the straight. Any 5 will have us beat now. Big blind bets out for $45 into the $61 pot. Like I said on the turn, checking behind on the turn gives us the opportunity to bluff catch. So when he bets out for $45, I stick to that plan, not giving him credit for too many 5s or jacks in his range. I stick in the $45 and the opponent turns over his cards. A6 of clubs, so he ended up turning a pair of 6s into a bluff, had the nut flush on the flop and the turn, only to just have a pair of 6s. We pick off that bluff with our pocket 8s. Pretty stoked on how I played this hand. $151 coming our way when we're on to the next hand with Jack 10 of spades from under the gun, and I pop it up to $15. We get called in 2 spots, the button and the big blind, so we're going 3 ways to the flop. Flop's interesting. It comes 9-4-4 with 1 spade. The big blind checks it to me. I decide to check it over to the button, considering I'm out of position to him. We're off to the turn, which comes the ace of diamonds. Gonna connect well with my under the gun raising range. So when the big blind checks it to me, I decided to go for a delayed c-bet, meaning I didn't c-bet on the flop, but I did it on the turn for $20. Button's a non-believer. He puts in the call, but we get rid of the big blind. One opponent down, we're off to the river. River pairs the board. It comes a 9 of spades. There's 2 pairs on board, 4s and 9s with an ace kicker. I decided to go for some pressure and put pressure on any chops. I bet out for $60 into 86. He folds his hand, so likely we were going to chop that pot, but my aggression there on the river scooped the $86 pot for us. We're back up to $100 profit on the session.
Hey, it's your boy Ethan. Hope you're having a great day. Here with a guest commentary about this hand where we look down at 4-5 of spades. It's a natural. It's a fun one to play when there's a +1 open to $25. Small blind makes the call, and we're in here along as well. It's a natural. We can't lose. Let's see a flop and gamble it up. Flop comes 10-5 deuce rainbow. So middle pair, not a bad flop, and action checks to this +1 player who c-bets $40. Here we see the small blind to make the call, and I'm expecting this hand to be a quick one. No, what the hell is happening? Oh, Wolfgang puts in a raise. I thought this hand was going to be over. Raises to a sizing that hurts my head a little bit. $165 to go. Mission accomplished where the +1 player folds, so good for you, but small blind has other plans. Non-believer decides to make the call, so we're going to venture out into the abyss of assuming never getting our chips back, but the turn comes the king of spades, and he checks to us. Third pair in a dream, right? Let's just punt off some more money. Looks like he's watching too many of my videos. Throws out $225, once again, into the abyss, hoping to get a fold, and wow, he's cutting out chips. Oh, God. Opponent cuts out $500 as a raise, and now this hand should certainly be over. Oh, God. What is happening? You're shuffling chips and what the hell is happening? You just called. Okay, Wolfgang called. This hand's off the rails. River is the queen of spades. Small blinds all in for $400 total, and we have 4th pair in a dream. And oh, thank God. Okay, disciplined fold. I have to say, you played this hand perfectly, Wolfgang. And oh, he only shows us pocket 10s. He only flopped top set. Oh my God. Well, nice hand, Wolfgang. Thank you for letting me be a guest commentary, and this was just a doozy of a hand.
So someone just came up to me and said they like my videos, but they didn't come up to Ryan DePaulo, and now he's all butthurt about it. Check this out. So how does it feel that that people aren't recognizing you at your own meetup game?
You already got the shot.
Oh, no. Fuck.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Legs crossed.
Big shout out for Ethan for doing that audio. If you guys like that concept and want me to get other vloggers or other people with cool accents to do one audio for a hand every video, let me know down in the comments. I think it's a super cool idea. We end up topping up for $400 more, and Ryan DePaulo now joins our table. Next hand of note, we pick up 5-6 of spades from the cutoff. One limp to me, and I decided to raise it up to $15, and only the limper puts in the call, so we're going heads up to the flop, which comes 10-9 deuce with 1 spade. Opponent checks it over to me, and I just bluffed off a lot of chips in the last hand, so I decided decide to check behind 6 high here and off to a turn, which comes a 3 of spades, putting a lot of options out for us. Any 4 will give us the straight, any spade will give us obviously a flush, and the big blind decides to lead out for $15 now. Could be going for a raise here, but what are we really representing other than like ace 4 of spades, something of that nature. So I elect to throw in 3 red chips, and we're off to the river, which comes the 8 of spades. Bang, we river the flush. Pretty great spot to be in. The big blind, however, checks it over to us. When we get there on the river, I decide to make a 3/4 pot size bet for $45. Big blind pretty much snap calls us. I turn over the flush, which is pretty much the nuts on this board. Given the way the action is played out, he mucks his cards, and nice to get another W under our belt and try to get back close to even on this session. Great spot to be in this next hand. We look down at ace king from the hijack. Low jack raises it up to $20. Obviously not enough money. We raise it up to $60. And now the cutoff and big blind both put in the cold call. Low jack decides to put in $40 more, and we're going 4 ways to the flop. Flop comes 7-5-4 with 2 clubs. Action's on me, and with 3 other opponents in the hand and just ace high, I decide to check it over to them. They check behind, and we're off to the turn, which comes the 5 of hearts. I once again elect for the delayed c-bet here, representing all the overpairs in my range. If I had a hand like king, queens, or jacks, I might decide to check on the flop, considering it's multi-way on a very draw-heavy board. Nevertheless, I bet out for $75, and a sticky opponent in the big blind puts in the call, so we're off to the river. Looking for an ace or a king to bail us out here, which does not come. It comes the deuce of diamonds. However, I doubt that really changes too much on this board. We're hoping he has a club flush draw that busted by the river, so with a good amount of money in the pot, I decide to go for one last bet of $215, just going for some sheer aggression. My sheer aggression works. He snap folds his cards, gonna take down that large pot there, and working our way back down $555 on the session. It's really hard to capture these double board bomb pots on dealer changes, but we're gonna win a large one here with king 3 of hearts, go multi-way to the river in a large pot, end up chopping it with another opponent, so we make a little bit of profit in that hand, and we're on to the next hand. We look down at pocket queens. My rate raises it up to $15. Obviously stuck in the session with a premium hand, I decide to raise it up to $50. 2 players put in the call, and now the middle position 3 bets us to $300. Can't tell if this is a dream situation or if we're in a cooler situation up against kings or aces, but when he 4 bets to $300, I don't really think there's any other option other than just flat calling. I think ripping it in here would fold out all of his bluffs like ace 10, ace jack, pocket jack, stuff like that, and we only get called by kings, aces, or maybe ace king, so I like to put in the call, and we're going to go heads up to the flop. $715 in the pot. This is definitely the hand of the session. Comes jack 10-4 with 2 diamonds. Of the hands we had beat going into the flop, we're now losing to 10s and jacks, so not exactly the best flop, but at least there's no ace or king on the board. The middle position says $300 and then throws 1 purple chip into the middle. Obviously I can't fold. I have an overpair on this board. I toss in $300, and we're off to the turn in a $1,300 pot. This is either going to make or break our session. Turn comes the jack of spades, so not exactly the best card again. However, it basically eliminates him having pocket jacks in his range, but if he was getting frisky with a hand like king jack, ace jack, something like that, he now turned the absolute gin card. Not a great spot here. The opponent decides to rip it all in for $550, which is basically what I had in my stack. He had me covered. Pot's $1,315, and we're facing a $550 bet. With his $550 in the middle, there's around $1,800 or $1,900 in the pot, and we just have to put in $550 to call, so we're pretty much getting like 4 or 5 to 1 on our money. I don't love the jack on the board, and we could be up against kings or aces, but we're stuck in the session. We have an overpair here. I know we could be letting this go, but I decide to put in the remainder of my chips. The river comes the 9 of spades. We're not exactly worried about that. And then the opponent turns over ace jack offsuit, one of the funky hands we were fearing he could be doing this with. He turned the absolute gin card. We were going to get stacks in there. Unfortunately for us, the dealer puts out the jack of spades, giving him trips. A $2,400 pot to end this brutal session. He's going to scoop that pot, and we lose $1,400 in this 1-3 game.
Oh, I guess well that wraps up the session here. I was gonna leave after that bomb pot, but then stayed and looked down at queens, and you guys know the rest. I guess I could have raised pre-flop and just ripped it in, or on the flop, but I mean, what are the odds he spikes another jack on me on the turn there? As always, drop a like on this video. A little bummed out here. We're still doing pretty good on our road trip, but just a bummer here to get back almost to even and then lose it all in queens versus ace jack on a turn jack. Like, at least put an ace on the flop and then let me get away from it. I really appreciate all your guys' support though. The amount of subscribers, the comments, the positive comments for once is really appreciated. If you guys are new here, consider subscribing. A lot more great videos to come from Dallas, San Antonio, Houston. A lot of meetup games coming up soon. As always, good luck on the tables. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace. Thanks for watching to the end of my video. Click my head below to subscribe and stay in the loop. See you next time.